was the fall of 2019, a time of new beginnings. The air was crisp, leaves were turning shades of amber and gold, and there was a sense of anticipation in the air. I had just stepped into the world of medicine, my head full of dreams and a stethoscope slung around my neck, a badge of honor. The journey ahead was unknown, but my heart was filled with hope and determination. The hospital felt alive, a symphony of hurried footsteps, hushed whispers, and the rhythmic beeping of machines. Each sound told a story. Each face carried a purpose. The energy was palpable, and I was ready to dive in. I was eager to learn, to heal, to make a difference. Every day was a new lesson, every patient a new challenge. The excitement of being part of something bigger than myself was exhilarating. Little did I know a storm was brewing, a global crisis that would forever change the landscape of our lives. The whispers of an unknown virus were just beginning to surface, and the world was on the brink of an unprecedented challenge.
My initial days were a whirlwind of learning the ropes, navigating the hospital hierarchy and absorbing the vast medical knowledge thrown my way. The sheer volume of information was overwhelming, but I was determined to keep up. I felt the weight of responsibility on my shoulders, the understanding that lives were at stake, but I was also invigorated by the opportunity to make a real difference. The gravity of the work we were doing was not lost on me. The camaraderie among the staff was palpable, a shared passion for healing and a deep respect for the sanctity of life. We were more than colleagues, we were a family united by a common goal. We were a team united in our mission to care for the sick and vulnerable. Each day brought new challenges, but also new opportunities to grow, to learn, and to make a difference in the lives of those we served. The journey was just beginning, and I was ready to face it head-on with my team by my side.
News of a novel virus spreading rapidly across the globe reached our shores, casting a long shadow over our collective optimism. It was a time when we were looking forward to new beginnings, but the news of this virus brought an unexpected twist to our lives. At first, it seemed like a distant threat, something we observed with cautious curiosity. We watched the news reports, seeing the numbers rise in far-off places, thinking it might not reach us. But the virus had other plans, spreading like wildfire, leaving a trail of sickness and fear in its wake. It moved swiftly, crossing borders and oceans, showing no mercy. The speed at which it spread was alarming, catching everyone off guard. The World Health Organization declared a pandemic, and suddenly, our world seemed to shrink, consumed by the invisible enemy that had infiltrated our lives. The declaration was a wake-up call, a stark reminder that we were all in this together, facing a common threat.
Hospital corridors, once bustling with routine and a sense of order, transformed into scenes of controlled chaos. The usual hum of activity was replaced by urgent footsteps and hurried conversations. The familiar faces of patients were now obscured by masks, their eyes wide with anxiety and uncertainty. The masks, once a rare sight, became a symbol of the new reality we were all grappling with. The air crackled with tension, a palpable sense of urgency replacing the calm efficiency we once knew. Every corner of the hospital echoed with the sounds of a battle being fought, not with weapons, but with medical expertise and sheer determination. Our hospital, like countless others around the world, was becoming overwhelmed, a battleground against an invisible enemy. The staff, though exhausted, continued to fight, driven by a sense of duty and the hope that we would eventually overcome this crisis. The pandemic had tightened its grip, but it also brought out the resilience and strength within us.
I was redeployed to the ICU, the epicenter of this unprecedented crisis. The transition was abrupt, a stark departure from the controlled environment I was accustomed to. The ICU was a different world, a realm where life and death danced a delicate tango, their fates precariously hanging in the balance. The air was thick with the hum of machines, a constant reminder of the fragility of life. We were thrust into a war zone, ill-prepared for the sheer volume of suffering we encountered. Days blurred into nights, the relentless pace dictated by the needs of our patients, their chests heaving with each labored breath. The virus was relentless, attacking the lungs with ferocity, leaving its victims gasping for air. Each shift felt like an eternity, a constant battle against an enemy we were still struggling to understand. The ICU became a sea of ventilators, their rhythmic hissing a constant soundtrack to our exhaustion. Fear was palpable, a silent specter haunting the sterile hallways. We donned layers of protective gear, our faces hidden behind masks and shields, our voices muffled, our humanity veiled. The virus had stripped away our ability to connect with our patients on a human level, leaving us feeling like robots going through the motions.
The emotional toll was immeasurable. We witnessed suffering on an unprecedented scale, the despair in the eyes of patients who couldn't see their loved ones, the anguish of families separated by glass walls. The weight of their pain, their fear became our burden to bear. We were their only solace, their only hope, and yet we felt powerless against the relentless onslaught of the virus.
One patient, in particular, remains etched in my memory. He was an elderly gentleman, his frail body ravaged by the virus, his mind teetering on the precipice of delirium. His skin was pale, almost translucent, and every breath seemed like a monumental effort. The room was filled with the sterile scent of antiseptic, a stark contrast to the warmth of his memories. He would lie in his bed, eyes wide open, whispering to unseen companions. He spoke of his late wife, his voice raspy and weak, his hand reaching out to touch a phantom presence. His eyes, though clouded with age, held a spark of something profound, something that transcended the physical realm. It was as if he was living in two worlds at once, straddling the line between reality and the ethereal. "She's here," he'd whisper, his gaze fixed on the empty chair beside his bed. "She's come to take me home." His words sent chills down my spine, a stark reminder of the thin veil that separates life and death. The chair, though empty to my eyes, seemed to hold a presence for him, a comforting figure in his final days. It made me ponder the mysteries of the human mind and the power of love that endures beyond the grave. I couldn't help but wonder if he was hallucinating, or if death cast a shadow long before it claimed its due. His case haunted me, a constant reminder of the fragility of life and the profound loneliness of dying alone. Each time I walked past his room, I felt a pang of sorrow, a deep empathy for his plight. It was a humbling experience, one that made me reflect on my own life and the connections we hold dear. In the end, his story was not just about death, but about the enduring power of love and memory and the hope that perhaps we are never truly alone.
The silence of the ICU was deafening, punctuated only by the rhythmic beeping of machines and the occasional muffled sob of a grieving family member. We were surrounded by death, its presence a constant spectre in the sterile hallways. The emotional toll was immeasurable, the weight of each loss pressing down on us, threatening to crush our spirits.
We carried the weight of our patients' fears, their hopes, their unspoken goodbyes. We celebrated the small victories, the slight uptick in oxygen saturation, the return of a cough reflex, clinging to these glimmers of hope as if they were lifelines in a vast ocean of despair. But the losses were relentless, each one a painful reminder of the limitations of modern medicine in the face of such a formidable foe. We learned to find solace in the smallest of victories, a patient weaned off a ventilator, a family reunited after weeks of separation.
We drew strength from each other, sharing the burden of grief, offering a listening ear, a shoulder to cry on.
We became each other's support system, a family forged in the crucible of crisis.
In the quiet moments between the frantic rushes and the heart-wrenching goodbyes, we found solace in the resilience of the human spirit.
We witnessed acts of extraordinary courage, patients battling for each breath, families finding strength in the face of unimaginable loss.
These moments, though fleeting, reminded us of the sanctity of life and the profound privilege of our profession.
The pandemic stripped away the superficial layers of life, forcing us to confront our own mortality and the fragility of the human condition.
It taught us to appreciate the simple things, a warm embrace, a shared meal, a moment of laughter.
It reminded us that life is precious, a gift not to be taken for granted.
We emerged from the pandemic forever changed, our perspectives on life and death irrevocably altered.
We learned that even in the darkest of times, hope can flicker, resilience can bloom, and the human spirit can endure unimaginable hardship.
We emerged from the firestorm, scarred but not broken, forever bound by the shared experience that tested our limits and redefined our humanity.
The pandemic left an indelible mark on my soul, a constant reminder of the fragility of life and the profound responsibility we have to care for one another.
It taught me that medicine is more than just treating diseases. It's about alleviating suffering, offering comfort, and preserving dignity.
It's about recognizing the humanity in every patient, no matter how sick or vulnerable.
I emerged from the pandemic a different doctor, humbled by the experience, forever grateful for the opportunity to serve, and acutely aware of the preciousness of life.
The pandemic may have tested our limits, but it also revealed our strengths, our compassion, and our unwavering commitment to healing. As we move forward, we carry with us the lessons learned from the pandemic, the importance of empathy, the power of resilience, and the unwavering belief in the human spirit's ability to overcome even the most daunting challenges.
We owe it to ourselves, to our patients, and to the countless healthcare workers who fought tirelessly on the front lines to honor their sacrifices by continuing to strive for a healthier, more equitable, and more compassionate world.
The pandemic may have cast a long shadow, but it also illuminated our shared humanity, reminding us that even in the face of unimaginable adversity, love, compassion, and the indomitable spirit of hope can light our way forward.